Today, we're going to dive into two episodes of the Ultraman franchise that really stuck out to me recently, just when I was perusing the catalog and catching up on both Ultraman Max and Ultraseven X. In 1967, the legendary Ultraseven battled terrors from alien invasions to government espionage in order to save the Earth. Flash forward decades later to the early 2000s, and the themes of Ultraseven's battles carry on with new stories. Enter Ultraman Max's Episode 24, The Untargeted Town, directed by the surreal man himself, Akio Jisoji, and Ultraseven X's Episode 2, titled Agent R, directed by the introspective man himself, Takeshi Yagi. Both of these episodes are brilliant showcases of how much variety can be found in the Ultraman franchise when it comes to encounters with aliens that aren't about direct invasions. First up, Jisoji's return to Alien Metron and Ultraman Max. This would be Jisoji's final entry in the franchise, and I think it holds up as a testament to an artist refining one of his earliest works into something still beautifully relevant and ominous while in his twilight years. The episodes got all that you'd want from a Jisoji work: surrealness, a daydreaming feel, strange camera angles that really anchor you into the story, and a message about humanity that feels uncomfortably revealing as it is timeless. It's an episode written by Yuji Kobayashi, who also wrote episodes of Ultraseven X and Ultraman Z. Essentially, this story is a sequel of sorts to Metron's original The Targeted Town episode from Ultra 7, even featuring the same Metron that got eye-sluggered and sliced in two. It turns out all he needed was some bandages and TLC to piece them back together, which I honestly thought was a pretty funny way just to have this guy return, huh? I don't think the Metron from Ultraman Ace would have been able to do that. Yeah, that guy was dead. So in Ultraman Max, this reappearance Metron, befriending a detective who found him when he was a child and helped piece him back together, is really sweet and almost tender. When Detective Shinohara, who was the kid, as an adult reunites with Metron, it's like he drops his cynical, tired of people noir detective personality in an instant and suddenly jumps around like a kid again. It's sweet, goofy, and gives you insight into what the originally villainous Metron must have been like following his abandonment of an invasion. I mean, if he nearly died by Ultra 7, then I'm sure the second chance really made him change his tune. So much so that Metron now has a human form and lives in a kaiju soup factory, drinking tea and collecting souvenirs of Earth. And now what really makes this episode fascinating is that brilliant spin it puts on the viewer if you've seen the original Metron episode. There's red herrings, sure, since you expect Metron to purposely bring back his rage device to make people attack each other. That's why in the first half there's jokes about each character about to lit a cigarette. And that one got... and the one bit that got me was Mizugi using one of those candy cigarettes. It's a good bait and switch. Jisoji knew that you know what to expect, so he puts a spin on everything like a chef returning to the staple dish decades later with something new to say. As it turns out, Metron is feeling like tormenting humanity again, this time with rage signals from our new obsession with mobile phones. However, from those callbacks all the way to Kaito confronting Metron at a coffee table, like how Moriboshi did all those decades ago, complete with overwhelmingly dreamy sunset vibes. What do you know? Metron is actually done. He's decided to leave humanity. Why? Well, he's come to the realization that we don't need his destructive hand. Well, I mean, I guess if you call that a hand, take all those random monkey screech sound effects throughout the episode as more evidence. We're already heading towards a path of self-destruction as a species, as a collective bunch of countries on Earth, and Metron's seen enough. He's gonna head out. That brings me to the final fight, because there isn't a final fight. It's not much of a confrontation either, just that Kaito becomes Ultraman Max and has a brief conversation with Metron as Metron's ship arrives in the distance. It's all a play on that original episode, and I love it for that, including the details of the set and Metron himself. Metron just dances in place like he's warming up for his travel back to space. And the city is all stuck in Showa-era architecture and new modern-era buildings on one side. We've got the original Metron on one, and the latest Ultraman on the other side. There's no fight, and it's still satisfying. So sometimes an episode of Ultraman can get away without a fight, or the fight can be really brief and still zone in on a respective episode's main theme. Case in point, and speaking of Ultra 7, let's head to his 2007 X incarnation with the second episode, R. Agent R is an episode I can best describe as a late-night fever dream, with despair from reality seeping in to wake you up. If you ever just sat at a night bar alone and decided to take in the ambience around you, from the people passing by to nonsensical sounds in the background, there's a sort of lucid feeling that comes from the incomprehensible noise and sound coming from every angle. What makes this episode really stand out is how much of an impact, a presence, a meaning the aliens have without actually appearing beyond a UFO or even really being named. When Jin, Ultra 7's host in X, comes across Agent R in the bar, it all comes together. Jin's here to solve a mystery with recent UFO abductions, and R is here to pursue Jin as a potential customer, a new recruit. Well, customer is not the right word here. Instead, it's more like R is recruiting people who are also disenfranchised and caught in dissonance with the modern world, leaving them to seek an escape from Earth. The Earth scene in Ultraseven X is full of a cyberpunky dystopian society ruled by the state and goofy technology. I say goofy technology since, like with real life, most of the new technology we have is either so advanced it doesn't really work, or we put resources into technology we don't need. It's a world evolved by the constant desire to be happy, to be occupied, to be reliant on always having a smile from all the material things we've got. Case in point, barely anyone in Ultraseven X's world smiles. Enter Agent R, an experienced member of Deuce, who went missing a year prior. He lost his wife due to her overdosing, most likely since she was experiencing the same dissonance from this dystopia. It's up to your interpretation on what caused her fate, but the implications are there. Same with whether or not R is an alien or a man working for unknown aliens following his disappearance. That's one thing I've noticed about Takeshi Yagi's Ultraman work, and it's the way he crafts a world that feels just a step away from our own, like it's just out of reach. While Jisoji's work can feel like you're part of a completely weird world like a painting, on the other hand, Yagi's work is more like you're in the same reality, however something is just off and you gotta figure out what it is. It's beautiful. Yagi directed one of my favorite Ultraman films, Superior 8 Ultra Brothers, and that film also explores a world just a touch different from ours. So when it comes to Ultraseven X, a series he was the core director of, mind you, it makes sense why his own vision comes through and finds a new avenue to explore. And shout out to Iota, who wrote this episode. Oda brings some real-world questions and flavor to the story that keeps it relevant to this day. I mean, just look at the way apartments feel. They're sleek, perfectly clean, and despite being bright, they're always bathed in a sort of darkness. That office worker in the beginning, she walks into her apartment like a zombie from work, and really starts to see things differently once she spills her water bottle and doesn't bother cleaning it up. That water spill even glows an ominous color, making you wonder how much control the Deep State has in Ultraseven X. Or maybe it's just showing the audience that something changed in her mind. Then afterwards, she sees how much of her history online is saved, as in shopping history and whatnot, and it makes her freak out and take a taxi to the UFO abduction point. The point here isn't necessarily that your information is always online, or rather I saw it's more as the story saying that your online history can make its own story about you. Does it even say who you are, or is it just a personality husk of yourself? Well, as it turns out, Agent R has been helping the unknown aliens by messaging people who are tired of this world. He sees it as a way to get people away from the creeping feeling that something is wrong even when we have everything. To get them away from this false security permeating this dystopia. As I said earlier, it's just a step away from the world we're currently living in. The conflict between Jin and Agent R reminds me of Moriboshi and Anderson from the original King Joe two-parter in Ultra 7 Classic. As in the striking imagery of two aliens in human form discussing a moral problem. It's just a cool visual to see return here in X. And since Ultraseven X is the 4-year anniversary project for Ultra 7, I think a lot of previous inspiration becomes quite clear. By the time that Agent R enters the UFO, we see a brief encounter between the craft and Ultra 7. Despite everything the UFO throws at Ultra 7, and despite how far it escapes into orbit, it's unable to escape his iconic wide-shot beam. And with that, all the humans who were abducted alongside Agent R may forever be a mystery as to where they went in space. The episode ends on another person alone in their apartment, letting the internet's power and reach get to them. With the 2 episodes I analyzed today, I hope they give a spotlight on how much thematic variety there is of Ultras versus Alien Seijin stories. It's cool how both episodes type back into Ultra 7 while still finding something new to say that's ever relevant. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are and if there's anything I missed. In the meantime, before you go, be sure to support my channel's official Patreon linked in the description and follow me on Instagram. Remember that every day is a tokusatsu day. Mr. Terrestrial Defense Force out, and I'll see you in the next one. Shwatch!